time for sports with Dan and Brian.
So how did the Warriors and Celtics get to the NBA Finals?
That's a really good question, Daniel. I mean, it was a really historic year for the Warriors and for Stephen Curry in general. Passed out, one of my all-time favorites, Ray Allen, for most three-pointers made. And they got Klay Thompson back. You look at the other side of it with the Celtics, Jason Tatum beat out the big names like Durant, Butler, Giannis, and he finished fourth in scoring in the league. And also over the summer, they got back Al Horford, which was huge for them in the paint.
So why do you think the Warriors will win this series?
I just think it's their experience. And I think, it's the fact that they've been there before. I mean, they're going after their fourth title now. And, how could you beat that perimeter shooting? I mean, it's just unbelievable with the Splash Brothers.
I mean, I think their off-ball movement's great, and they've got the experience factor I think you mentioned, and they've got like a good amount of depth. I think they're getting a couple of players back possibly who were injured and out up until this series, so they're gonna have a deeper squad than they've had up until this point, and there's a lot of to be said about having the home court advantage, especially if this goes to 7 games. I mean, it's not quite playing in the Oracle, but the new arena that they're in, I think what they call the Chase Center in San Francisco, it gets loud, and Boston's won Game 7 on the road already in Miami, but that Miami crowd is nothing like what you see with the Warriors in Golden State. So yeah, there's something to be said about the Warriors.
What about the Celtics though?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I think the Celtics are the better team. When you look at the talent groupings, the Celtics are younger, they're faster, they're stronger, they're more physical. I think they can match the Warriors on the perimeter in terms of their shooting capabilities. The Celtics could be a little less disciplined. That could be something that comes back to haunt them. They played with their food way too often in the rounds getting up to the finals, because you had a Miami series that should have been over in ideally 5 games, if not 6. And every time the Celtics had a chance to close it out, they lost Game 6 on their home court. You can't do that. You do that with the Warriors, you will most likely lose Game 7 on the road. With Miami Heat, there was enough of a talent gap that they could, get away with it, and they did. And even then, they almost threw Game 7 away with a couple of bad shots towards the end of that game, and they had a 10-point advantage almost, and they, almost lost it. It became a single possession game at one point, down the wire essentially. So they need to be disciplined, but if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown step up and become those next great Celtics, they've already shown that they can rise to the occasion, but they need to, I think, go a gear higher. And then when you combine that with the defense of Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, of Al Horford, and the offensive firepower they can also provide, and you got Derek White in there as well, they've got one of the best rotations in the league. And I think their depth is going to be their advantage at times, because again, they're younger. They can, the stamina is going to be in their favor. Sure, they don't have as many finals appearances, but most of those guys have played in 3 or 4 conference finals, and even in this run up to the finals, they've played in 2 Game 7s, one on the road, one at home. So I think they're prepared. So that's why I think the Celtics have the advantage here.
Well, I got Warriors in 6, so.
Okay, well, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to give you 2 predictions. 1, if the Celtics lose Game 1, this is going 6, and Celtics win in 6. If the Celtics win Game 1, I think the Celtics are going to, finish off the Warriors in 5, because when they played in the regular season, one of those games, significant amount of players missing, it was a close game. The Celtics lost at home. The second time around, it was not nearly as close, and less players were missing, and the Warriors got blown out at home by the Celtics. So I don't think the Boston is going to have any trouble, winning on the road. And I think it might be over in 5 or 6, but either way, Boston.
I like your confidence there.
Me too. I like my confidence too. Banner number 18, here we come.